Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Sermon with Hyde Park United Methodist Church in Tampa, Florida. I'm Matt Hotho, the Director of Production and Online Engagement.
Hey, I'm Justin LaRosa. I'm the pastor and director of the Portico, our downtown location.
So Justin, you just ironically preached a sermon on John Wesley's thoughts on health.
Yeah.
And I think there's an elephant in the room that I think we can talk about now in this Beyond the Sermon that maybe you didn't want to get into in the sermon, and that's that you're actively dealing with something right now related to your health.
Yeah, right. So about a little over a month ago, I found out that I have a very rare form of cancer in my lacrimal sac tear duct. It's kind of a unicorn. I figure if you're going to have cancer, why not? Be special, right?
Sure.
But when I signed up for the sermon, we didn't know about that. Okay. So maybe it was God's laughter or
maybe some irony?
Irony, maybe, yeah. So I got to think about like just the individual body, but also how the community is kind of surrounded me and my family, and then think about, things eternal. When you have cancer, even though the prognosis is good, I mean, it kind of brings you kind of face to face with, mortality and what you have and what would be lost and what would be gained, all of those kinds of things. And so it certainly has been an interesting month.
Does it cause you to think about kind of the life you've lived, not good or bad, but just kind of do a reflection?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you think about the aim. One of the words that has been kind of journeying with me is fortitude. Having strength in difficulty, but also having an aim, and that, the aim of, I feel blessed that I have felt good about the aim of my life and the blessings that I've had thus far, and that I hope to continue to have and believe that I will. And so that, when I sent out that kind of video message, I really meant that I'm not attacking this with anger or I'm really encountering it with the spirit of surrender and hope and trust.
Yeah, I love that. I took a class in undergrad that was on like metaphors that we live by, and the way that metaphors work in our language, and that cancer is one of those metaphors that we always talk about as being a battle or a war or a fight. And so it codes it with this language of you win or you lose.
That's
or
right.
There's anger, to your point of anger. There's something vicious and fighting about it. And so you're just kind of trying to counteract some of that.
Yeah, just take it. And you do have to engage it. You have to, you do have to get prepared and all of those things. But and there are stages that you think about, like many people go through the stages of grief. But for me right now, it's not anger. I believe that God journeys with us, and that is the gift. In our bodies and in our minds, and then in the global body of Christ, and then also after we die. So so it was meaningful for me to talk about these three things, just with what I'm going through.
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate you bringing that to your sermon preparation and to sharing that with us in this moment right now so vulnerably.
Well, thank you.
So for anybody who's actually listening to this online or studying this in a small group, be in prayer for Justin. We've been praying for him as a community, but continue lifting up him, his family in your prayers.
Mostly my kids.
Sure.
And my wife. Yeah.
Yeah. And you.
Yeah. Sure.
So Justin, as we kind of think about your sermon and the three parts that you had, you reflected a lot on how really undoing that negative narrative of the body is bad, or there's an ideal body, or there's something. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think there's people in our community who have really wrestled with that of, is my body the body I want? And what does God
what's the balance? And what's the balance of, I want to change my body and I want it to be healthy versus not, being
like looks maxing
looks max. Well, I told one of my friends about this whole eye thing. I was like, you're finally going to be better looking than me. So
nice.
But I think, and I'd be interested to hear your reflections on it. It's like the moderation of accepting what is and striving to improve, and the motivation underneath. Why? To be healthy, to, we want to feel good and look good. And then people who struggle with that, how do they encounter that journey. And we were talking about, you're going to share some about the community of which you're a part of, athletes and doing those kind of things and how they've kind of experienced it. So I'd be interested to hear.
Yeah. So, I mean, so I'm in an adaptive athletic community, and I kind of lead a lot of conversations in that space. I've heard stories. And so, a lot of athletes were born with their disability, like myself, and other athletes acquired it later in life. But for the athletes who were born with it, a lot of them have also had to overcome things like eating disorders, right? And issues around what they believe their bodies can do in the narratives that they tell themselves, because either doctors or parents or teachers at some point told them, you're just never going to be able to do this.
Right.
And so then they're told that they can. And so they have to reframe what they believe is possible about them. And some of them are doing this from a spiritual place, right?
Yeah.
One person that I spoke to was this young woman who is a para rock climber. So she's actually doing
awesome.
rock climbing with cerebral palsy. She's trying to make it to the Olympics, to the Paralympics, which is super cool. But she said she grew up in a Christian community, but what always threw her off was when people would pray for her to be healed. Because she'd be like, well, this is who I am. I don't want to lose this.
Right.
I don't want to. So I kind of asked her as a follow-up, like, well, do you think you'll have cerebral palsy in heaven? And she said, I kind of hope so.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what my body would be like without it.
Holy.
Yeah. And so I think there's something, that moment for me was a really beautiful conversation, because I think for anybody who grows up with an illness or a disability or an impairment or a difference, there's always that question of, if I'm taught that heaven is this perfect place, is my body as it is perfect?
Yeah. Well, it's the beauty of the spirituality of imperfection, and that God really comes through. All the scriptures that we have for our family, we each pick one for the year, and one ironically come from Paul. It's my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness.
Yeah.
And that has been something like, just in this situation, that I'm just, I got no control. Right. So, and I would think that story that you shared is beautiful, and hopefully heaven, we still hold the things that made us who we are.
And my friends who acquired their injuries later in life, like who are wheelchair bound because of an accident, a couple of them I've asked, and they still have dreams about walking. Like they literally dream at night and they're walking. But spiritually, when I ask them from a spiritual perspective, they don't want to be restored.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's very cool.
And these are people who've lived that illness or that in a wheelchair for 10 to 12 years, so they have some history with it. But as they've grown in that experience, which I could never imagine, like losing that, right? That spiritually they've come to some kind of acceptance, right? And so I think this all ties back to the sermon and about what does health look like faith-wise, because to your point, it's not perfection. It's not an ideal body. There is beauty in all of our journeys and our bodies.
And it's not just about physical, right? It's about what you talked about. It's like how you think about yourself, right? And how you deal with difference or imperfection or perfection, what we would define as perfection. What's the motivation underneath it? How is it connecting me to God and community and how I view myself? Like, this is a gift, right? Like we have a gift of being, and God is within us. And then can we remember that? And then how does that shape how we think about ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, and how we act towards both ourselves and the community?
Yeah. So as we kind of wrap up, I think there was a story that you told towards the back half of your sermon, or a challenge that you gave people, which was to go look at yourself in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
And really look at yourself.
Yeah.
Be like, this is the body that I have. This is
what
gift
I've been given,
that God has given me. Yeah. When I was in youth group, we used to have like a end of the year gathering, and we have a special speaker. And there was a speaker one year who just said, every morning when I wake up, I look in the mirror and I say, I like myself. And that just stuck with me.
Right.
It was like, every morning when I look in the mirror, like I'm brushing my teeth and I'm like, my body's a little uneven. My right side's a little weaker than my left, but like, I like myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. And that's God-given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a challenge for you this week. If you want to go look in the mirror and just really say to yourself, I like myself.
I like myself.
And even if that's a really hard thing to say right now.
Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make
There
it.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Justin, thanks so much for being in this
asking me.
Beyond the Sermon,
Appreciate it.
for sharing what you've shared. Again, you can find out more about our community by going to hydeparkumc.org/next steps, where you can find a small group to join. You can find daily scriptures that you can reflect on together. You can find more content from our community. I'm Matt Hotho.
I'm Justin LaRosa. And yeah, go.
No, I mean, we'll see you guys next time.
You are loved.
You are loved. Bye.
See you.